Joining the conversation right now is Ed Rollins, Republican strategist, Fox News contributor. Ed, always good to see you.
Good morning. How are you this morning?
What are you expecting from Kentucky and Oregon? First, let's talk Kentucky.
I think that Sanders is like her worst nightmare. I mean, he just keeps right on her tail. He's like a Doberman biting into your thigh. And, you know, all the focus is on why Republicans haven't surrounded Trump, which they are now. Nancy Pelosi hasn't endorsed Hillary.
Nancy Pelosi hasn't even endorsed
Hillary. And so my sense is there's a lot of, I mean, she's going to be the nominee, there's no question about that, but there's not the enthusiasm that she's once had. So.
Do you think that President Obama is going to be a major factor here, or do you think he's going to potentially hurt her by going out and campaigning like he did yesterday?
I think he has the potential to hurt her. Where a president always has an impact is if his approval numbers are basically over 50%. Those are pretty positive. He's getting up there a little bit, but I think more in the contrast. My sense is he's kind of finishing his victory lap, and I'm not sure he's going to do a whole lot to help anybody. He may go out and campaign a little bit for some of the Senate candidates, but I don't think
he's told friends of ours that he's going to be all in, going to be very aggressively campaigning for him.
I think at the end of the day, she has to basically separate herself, because I think the theory of our campaign is you elect Hillary, you get 4 more years of Obama. And if you can wrap the two of them together, I think that's a detriment.
What do you think about her ground game versus Trump's ground game at this point, Ed, as far as you know?
She is built on the Obama ground game, which has been pretty significant in the last couple of elections. Trump is in the infancy. They've done an extraordinary job with limited resources. You think that Trump has only spent $50 million, which is what Bush spent in media in New Hampshire and lost. So my sense is they're in a building process. They got to build the fundraising, which obviously they got a superb. One of the co-hosts here is one of the great fundraisers. There's a lot of catching up to do, but you can't catch up with the enthusiasm that he has. I mean, he's perceived now as a leader. The party's getting behind him, and my sense is she's still struggling to get rid of Bernie Sanders.
What does he have to do to get everybody behind him still? He's sort of in this period now where he's starting to get endorsements and people are coming to him. Who's still on the fence, and what does he have to do to reach out?
I think there's way too much play on the Ryan front. Ryan has a totally different ideological bent, and I have great respect for Speaker Ryan, but we're not going to cut Medicare. We're not going to go out and advocate that in a presidential campaign. Otherwise, we're going to get clobbered. I mean, we're absolutely going to get clobbered. So my sense is this is really about leadership. Who do you want to basically be leading and commanding your chief of your military? Who do you basically want? Who can make the tough decisions to get the economy going? And her basic going back to, my husband did it, I'm going to take his policies. Well, that was right at the height of the tech.
I want to point out when she's in these southern states, she starts talking about her husband a lot, where people still have some affection for him, and she starts using her fake southern accent, which I find really comical, which is a pretty bad southern accent. In terms of fundraising,
she does have hot sauce in her bags.
Yes, exactly. Which started about 3 months ago, I would guess. Somebody call her on that and make her just randomly, hey, is there hot sauce in your bag? In terms of the fundraising, does he need to get to that plus $1 billion, you think, given what he's been able to do in...
I think
Ed's more of an expert than me, but I said $500 million.
I think $500 million. You know, you need a certain amount to have a full campaign. Then you start wasting money on media and ads and stuff like that, as they did in the last cycle. I think he's got a big base out there, people who want to give to him, and I think they just haven't been asked yet. And I think that's starting now, and I think to a certain extent he's going to have enough resources to run the campaign he needs. This is a campaign. She's going to be a policy wonk. This country is not looking for a policy wonk. They're looking for an established leader, and Trump is a leader. Trump can make those tough decisions, and that's really what the contrast is.
So, Anthony, tell us about the fundraising, what you're seeing out there. You got a big fundraiser coming up, right? You said there's good demand.
Very good demand for the May 25th fundraiser. It's going to be at Tom Barrack's house, who's a founder of Colony Capital in L.A. But I think that the $500 million number is going to be enough, Maria. Remember, it was Barack Obama that busted the matching from the federal government. He's the one that went rogue on the campaign spending, and so that's where the billion-dollar numbers came in. But if you think about what Donald Trump has done with less, which is classic entrepreneurship, I think we can do it with about $500 million.
And can I just add one thing? And I've told people this, like friends of mine will joke, you better get on the Trump train every time I see him. And I'm like, it is up to them to really rally support for their candidate in a way that you haven't seen happen with other candidates.
We're working on a grassroots thing, which I'm going to discuss with Ed offline. But I think this grassroots thing that we're about to launch next week will be a phenomenal thing because it's going to be at a lower price point than Bernie Sanders.
Oh, wow.
And it's going to be, and remember, entrepreneurs can do things more cheaply than the socialist
So what is
market.
it, 25, less than $25?
Yeah, all right, so we bought the website 16 for $1,600. So $16 to get to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue.
Oh, wow.
I shouldn't be saying that because we haven't launched it yet, but we'll launch
Well, you
next
own
week.
it.
We own it.
Now.
Yeah, we got the
What's
good
we like that. Here.
It's good alliteration, and what we're going to do is a massive grassroots effort. Everybody in the country can write a $16 check if they want disruptive change in Washington.
And once you put money into the campaign, you're committed. You're then willing to go walk precincts, you're willing to go out and vote, and even whatever the sum may be.
Remember, it's $11 cheaper than the great socialist that's out there, okay? Because you can do things in the free market at a lower cost.
16 for 1,600. All right.